Hello, are we here? Are we here? Yeah, we're here. Sorry for the delay, everyone. This is your WWE Elimination Chamber 2021 review, recap, and results show. Yeah, so I'm a little bit late. I'm sorry for that. If people were waiting, I am about 10 minutes late. But I've been at work all day, yeah. And we just got the news from fucking Boris, fucking Bella. And we got the news basically that, sorry, Boris. We got the news, yeah, that we've been waiting for. So basically, over in the States, obviously, you can all go to bars. You can all have your social life, do whatever it is that you do, yeah. In the UK, we've been in a lockdown for fucking ages. So we've been waiting. They've set the roadmap out or whatever. We can now go to the gym on April the 12th. We can sit in a beer garden freezing our tits off from April the 12th. And pubs, more importantly, fully open on, May the 17th. Funny how I know all this off by heart. But yeah. Oh, and kids can go back to school, so my daughter can finally go back to school on March the 8th. But yeah, that ain't actually the reason why I was late. My mate just rang me up to let me know that he just got a job at a bookie. So congratulations, Carl. But let's get into last night. It was, do you know what? I tweeted out before last night's show, can anyone see anything apart from Drew leaving the show? Well, the Wi-Fi is fucking shit by the sounds of it. But in case you didn't know, basically, last night, I can't believe I'm actually going to say this out loud. The Miz, the fucking Miz, is your WWE champion. In 2021, we're in the year 2021, and Miz is the WWE champion. I mean, that's really the only place we can actually start because, well, I tweeted out last night. I mean, I think it's probably the most retweets I've ever got. 228 retweets. All I put was New Japan Pro Wrestling, Kota Ibushi, AEW, Kenny Omega, WWE ... and a picture of the fucking Miz. And some of the replies we have got in this, I mean, last night really did bring out, all these sorry if you're one of these people, one of these fucking lunatic nutters WWE fans, as I always allude to, Alexa Bliss fan 1245, who fucking, do you know what I mean, thinks that fucking The Miz winning. I still can't believe The Miz has won the WWE title. But to be honest with you, it's not even annoying. At this stage, yeah, I was saying about 5 years ago, I'd have been fucking fuming. I'd have been like, fucking hell, I stay up all the time to watch this show. And they give us... Now, we've just been and been given so much garbage for the last God knows how long. It's funny. It's funny. In 2021, The Miz is the WWE champion on the road to WrestleMania. They've built Drew McIntyre all year. They've built Drew McIntyre up. He beat Brock, didn't he, at WrestleMania last year? Yeah. He retained against Seth Rollins. He was the star of the fucking Gymnasium Raw episode, yeah? He beat Bobby Lashley. Anyone remember that? Probably not, because it's Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley, and nobody could give a shit except a few losers on Twitter, right? And then he goes into his feud with Randy Orton. He wins twice. And then he drops the title for whatever stupid reason for 3 weeks before they put the title back on him. But basically, apart from 3 weeks, the last 11 months has seen Drew McIntyre as WWE champion. On the whole, for WWE, considering how bad they are at building babyface stars, I think we can all agree they've done a pretty good job with Drew. And Drew's done a good job himself. So, they clearly... For weeks, we've been talking about who's Drew's opponent at WrestleMania. We know we've got Edge and Roman Reigns, but who's Drew's opponent? Could it be John Cena? Could it be Brock Lesnar? But no, by the looks of it, I mean, the funny thing is how much The Miz winning the WWE title is a complete irrelevance. Nobody's even talking about, it's going to be Drew versus The Miz at WrestleMania. No, nobody. All these weirdos on Twitter last night were like, Miz is better than Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi. Jesus Christ. Nutters. Everyone who's saying that, nobody's even like, it's going to be The Miz versus Drew at WrestleMania. No, because it's that ridiculous that The Miz is going to be in the title match at WrestleMania. Everyone's basically saying it's going to be Drew versus Bobby Lashley. And Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley. I mean, it's main evented TNA pay-per-views. It didn't even main event Backlash. It didn't even main event Backlash, a B-level pay-per-view last May. I mean, they've been keeping Bobby Lashley strong all year. And if you go back, listen to all these podcasts, I've been saying it just don't make sense. Why are they keeping Bobby Lashley so strong? Why? He's the most protected guy. He's a heel for one. And he's just beating baby faces clean. So I just assumed, to be honest with you, I'm not even going to give him the credit. I don't think they've been building him up for this match. I think they've just thought, right, Vince has gone in there yesterday and he's thought, right, who have we got to face Drew at WrestleMania? Nope. We'll stick it on Bobby Lashley. We'll give Bobby Lashley the shot at WrestleMania. That is basically what happened. There was no fucking plan in any of this shit. They probably don't even know now. Who is going to face. Do you know, it's not even who's going to face Drew Max. They probably don't know what the WWE Championship match is at WrestleMania yet. That's how fucking clueless this company are. I mean, and people are going to be like, oh, you're just an AEW fan slagging off WWE. I have said every WWE pay-per-view, pretty much for the whole, during this whole pandemic era, has been good. Do you know what I mean? I've been defending them to friends, defending them, saying, do you know what? It's actually not that bad. I think they've done a good job with the pandemic. What an idiot I look. Because last night, they just undid everything. I mean, the pay-per-view as a whole, the wrestling was good. The chamber matches, the action in the matches were good, yeah? But the booking, if you can even call that, was just fucking awful. It really was. I mean, I don't want to completely witter on about it, but hey, you're going to be stuck with it. Do you know what I mean? I am going to witter on about it because it was that bad. I mean, I was annoyed enough by the booking for the Universal title chamber match. That was bad enough. But then the main event, I mean, I just find it bizarre. Like, in what world are people happy the Miz is champion, yeah? And I mean, like, the funny thing is, you're seeing all these replies to people on Twitter who are like, ha, 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 the Miz is champion. Oh, this is so funny. Posting pictures of people crying, right? I don't think anybody's actually that angry about it. It's more just facepalm stuff. It's more just laughable that they've put the belt on the Miz. I mean, the booking that they did, yeah, last night, it was like hot shotting. It was just stupid. But if they'd have done it with a guy other than the Miz, it wouldn't have probably been as bad. But the Miz, what is the Miz 40? I mean, the Miz first cashed in Money in the Bank in 2010. 2010. And he's cashing it in again 11 years later. Wasn't the Money in the Bank originally created for someone who was an upper mid-carder, a young up-and-coming guy who they wanted to elevate to the main event? Isn't that what it was for? Edge was always flirting around the main event, but he never quite got his shot. So they gave it him. They gave it CM Punk, a young guy who they was always flirting with the idea of giving him a main event spot. They put it on him the second time around. It actually worked. But recently, I mean, it's just short term. It's so short-sighted. They shoved it on Otis, and when they took it off Otis, I was like, good, because Otis, they're never going to stick the belt on Otis. They're never going to do that. Not in a million years. But to put it on the Miz, I mean, they even had him lose. What was the pay-per-view he lost on? TLC? Was it TLC? He cashed in somewhere, and then they just gave it him back the next day. But I mean, the only reason I can think they've done this because they want to have the whole thing of Drew McIntyre winning the title at WrestleMania. Winning it in front of fans. That moment's gone. That was last year. He already has his big title win at WrestleMania. Yeah, it wasn't the way it was meant to be, but he's been built as a big, strong champion the entire year. So have him go into WrestleMania as the champion, as he's put such a good run together this last year. Have him go into WrestleMania as the champion, and if you want him to have his moment, he doesn't have to win the title. He can just retain the title. Do you know what I mean? I mean, the opponents, even Bobby Lashley, yeah. People say, oh, Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley. That's quite a good choice for WrestleMania. Are you fucking stupid? Bobby Lashley, yeah. Nobody is paying to go and see Bobby Lashley at a big show. No offense to the guy, yeah. He's a good mid-carder, yeah. But that's it. That's it. Drew McIntyre. If I ring up all my mates that stopped watching 5 years ago, 10 years ago, because fucking Austin and The Rock don't come back every other week, yeah? And said, oh, are you tuning in to watch WrestleMania this year? Oh, why? What's the main event? Oh, it's Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley. Oh, but it might not be because they might throw The Miz in there. They'd be like, nah, I'm all right, mate. Wrestling shit. That's exactly what they'd say because no, people are like, oh, The Miz is a celebrity. They put the belt on him because he's a celebrity. Is he fuck a celebrity? Fuck me. If I went down, no, knocked on my next door neighbour's door and went, all right, mate, do you know who Mike Mizanin is? He'd look at me like I just slapped him around the face. He's not a celebrity. He's known to wrestling fans because he's shit. Yeah. He was, right. I've seen a lot of tweets that are like, oh, The Miz deserves it for all this hard work. I saw like a guy that I actually do quite respect. I'm not going to say his name, but he tweeted out, oh, The Miz deserves this for his great run in 2016 to 2018. I was like, look, I respect your opinion. You're a really good journalist, but what does what he did in 2016 have to do with if he should be WWE champion in 2021? The Miz has done fuck all for years. Absolutely nothing for years. What's he been doing? He's just, if I switch on Raw, yeah, and the Miz and Morrison are sat there, I just fast forward the segment. It's just like, do you know what? I feel like people watching this are going to be like, oh, he's angry about it. I'm actually not angry. It's just laughable. Thank God, I never thought I'd say this, but thank God for coronavirus, because if not, I'd be fucking spending about $2,000 to fly out to WrestleMania, because I do that every year anyway. And the main event they give me on one of these nights is going to be Drew McIntyre versus fucking Bobby Lashley. A match that is not big enough to main event Backlash. A match that my window's right over there. I put this on Twitter before. My window's right over there. If I had some noise out of my window and I looked out and Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley were having a scrap outside my window, I'd close the fucking curtains. Maybe not that bad, but you know what I'm saying. It's not a WrestleMania-worthy match. I mean, me and Tebs did a podcast the night before the Royal Rumble, always the most exciting time, because we can actually speculate and predict things that we'd like to happen that probably ain't going to happen. It probably ain't going to happen, yeah? But it's nice to speculate, and then they serve us shit on a platter, and that's exactly what they've done. I mean, if they couldn't find an opponent for Drew McIntyre, I'd say I could sort of understand, but that's their fault. The whole year should be centered around your WWE title match at WrestleMania and your Universal title match at WrestleMania. It's not like they've just fought. Vince has walked in and gone, fucking hell, Bruce. Fucking WrestleMania's in 6 weeks. Who's facing Drew McIntyre? Do you know what I mean? They should be planning this for a year. It should have been set in stone who Drew was facing at WrestleMania. I mean, they gave us the AJ Styles. Drew versus AJ Styles. For me, that's not even big enough for WrestleMania, but it's better than Bobby Lashley at 44 years old. I was there the night Bobby Lashley returned, right? At the Smoothie King Center or whatever in New Orleans, yeah. And it was like, it wasn't a crazy pop. It was just like, oh, fuck, it's Bobby Lashley. He's back. Wait. And then a week later, nobody cared. And that was, as Ryan's just put, that was 4 years ago. It was when he returned, it was actually 3 years ago, but I know what you're saying. But 3 years ago, Bobby Lashley returned. What's he done? Has he had any good matches? I don't really remember any of these good matches. Has he had an interesting promo? Do you know what I mean? He's been dominant against like Matt Riddle and stuff for the last 6 months. They've booked him strong, but is there anything where you can say, oh my God, that Bobby Lashley match, that Bobby Lashley segment, that was great? No, there isn't. It's just fucking laughable, innit? And I mean, last night I was dying to tweet out stuff like, oh, thank God for AEW. And I'm probably a bigger WWE fan than I am AEW, right? But it's just like, I just don't know what all these people that are obsessive WWE fans are watching. Like, can you not be unbiased about this thing, right? It's the fucking Miz. The fucking Miz. We've gone through a horrible year, yeah. The pandemic, it's been horrible, yeah. WWE having this big show in front of fans at the end of it. The light at the end of the tunnel. And what are the plans for it? We'll have the Miz as champion. And maybe we'll move across to Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley. Fucking hell, how far we have fallen. I mean, I'm sure I'm not going to swear on these podcasts, but whatever. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But I'm sure you do a better job on SmackDown versus Raw, Ryan, than the stuff that they're giving us at the moment. But I don't know. I was sat there last night and I thought, I'm a 29-year-old man. I've got a 5-year-old daughter. What the fuck am I doing sat here at 2:30 in the morning with work tomorrow watching this? Watching this. But do you know what the worst thing is? I don't even know. I'm just wittering on here, but I just can't believe that they actually did that last night. But it's more the fact that everyone, the Miz deserved to win the title. I hate when people say he deserved it, but I just can't believe how people are like, oh, it was great, it was great. You people are the problem. You're the reason why WWE serve up shit because you accept it. We're lucky to have something happen on a pay-per-view. We're lucky. I watched Elimination Chamber 2010. 2010, yeah. In the build-up this week, yeah. Right. The championship, right, went from being from John Cena to Batista to set up John Cena versus Batista at Mania. They basically did the same thing here. But instead of John Cena and Batista, it's The Miz in the middle of it. The Miz. Fucking hell, The Miz. Jeez, honestly. Sure, he's a nice guy, but nobody's paying to see The Miz. And I'm reading tweets like, oh, The Miz is a bigger draw than... The Miz is bigger and better than Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi. I'm sorry, what? Are you stupid? Are these the fans that are just like, oh... about hey, ho, ho, whatever that bollocks was last year. That's for them. That's their sort of wrestling. You know what I mean? They didn't watch Kota Ibushi against Tanahashi in the final of the G1. Nah, that's shit. They don't want to see that. They want to see The Miz do the worst kicks ever. That's wrestling to them. It's just fucking hell. 102 people replied, and you know what? The majority of them are happy The Miz is champion. It's like, I don't even know why I'm getting annoyed. I'm not even getting annoyed. It's just laughable that this is what they're doing. But to me, The Miz ain't even the problem. It's the fact that Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley is going to main event WrestleMania. Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre is going to main event WrestleMania. They need to get on the phone to Brock. As much as the internet seems to hate Brock, he's a fucking star. If they'd done this with Brock, I'd be like, yeah, Brock, fair enough. Kota Ibushi, Kenny Omega, whatever. Brock Lesnar is a big deal. The fucking Miz ain't a big deal. Do you know what I mean? This big celebrity, how many people watch his show on USA? 400,000 or something like that. I'm having a bit of Mountain Dew. I was all happy about pubs opening about 17 minutes ago, and I've just had to talk about this absolute rubbish. Let me have a sip of this anyway. Went down a treat. I guess we should really get into the show, but I don't even... people are just going to watch this and think this guy hates WWE, which is not the fucking case. I mean, I've been positive about pretty much everything. I enjoyed the Rumble. TLC was all right. Survivor Series was okay. I thought Hell in a Cell was really good. What was the September pay-per-view? I don't know. Payback. They didn't do a September pay-per-view, did they? They did Payback and SummerSlam. They were fine. I even enjoyed Extreme Rules, that fucking horror show, but it's all well and good doing that stuff then. It's the road to WrestleMania. The lack of planning is what gets me. It's just like, I'm sure right now, do you know what? I don't care. If I want to compare WWE to AEW, I fucking will, right? If you rang up Tony Khan now, yeah, and said, all right, Tony, lad, what in your head, what's your outline plan for the main event of Double or Nothing? What's your outline plan for your main event of All Out in September? I think he'd probably have a good idea. You rang Vince, and you'd be like, all right, Vince, what's main event in Raw tonight? He'd be like, didn't start for 15 hours. How the fuck should I know? Fucking hell. But I guess we better get into this show, seriously. I mean, I'm really, really not even sure if I can be bothered with it. But I guess we're going to have to be fair. Like I did say, the wrestling on the show was actually all right. But when the booking brings it down so badly, I mean, the main event particularly, I was watching this match and I'm thinking the action is actually pretty good. But the people that are in the match is just putting me off. I don't care about Jeff Hardy. I don't care about fucking... I tell you what. When did they put the Miz in this match, didn't they? When did they put the Miz in this match? Last week. The Miz was in this match 2 weeks ago and he got taken out last week, right? So 2 weeks ago, they did not have the Miz winning the title tonight as part of their plan. It was not in their plans. They put him in the match and the Miz was never going to win in the match, yeah? So 2 weeks ago is how long they planned this. They probably only decided it on the Sunday. But I don't know. I mean, the thing is, yeah, I was sat there before the Rumble. I'm thinking, Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus even, that's not really WrestleMania worthy, is it? But at least it had a long-term story of build. They've literally just thrown together Lashley and Drew. Now, what are we on, February the 23rd or something? They've just thrown it together because they've panicked. That's what they've done. They've panicked. Can't get John Cena. They can't get Brock Lesnar by the looks of it. So we'll have to go with the next best thing. And Lashley, fucking hell. Lashley was no good when he was... Do you remember when Lashley was being pushed as like the top babyface in like 2007? The thing is as well that they've forgotten about this whole Drew McIntyre. I think they might have forgotten because they've got that used to the Thunderdome. Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania, right? Is it really going to garner a reaction from the fans? I mean, I don't think it is. I mean, I just can't imagine the crowd like getting into a Drew McIntyre Bobby Lashley match. They've got that used to this Thunderdome crowd that like they want Drew to get this big moment, don't they, of him winning the title at Mania? Does anyone else see Raymond James Stadium exploding for Drew McIntyre beating Bobby Lashley? I don't. I don't think they will. And I don't even know. Don't even know. A few comments. Ryan's cat could book a better show. Yeah. My mum's could as well. All three of them, actually. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's get into the show. So it seems like ages ago now. I mean, the show started with the basically, they announced that Keith Lee yesterday. It'd been rumored for what appeared to seem like days that Keith Lee wouldn't be in the match, the triple threat match for the US title, but they didn't announce it for some reason. It was only like really announced pretty much like a couple of hours before the show. I think PW Insider sort of revealed that Keith Lee wouldn't be on the show, and then WWE quickly basically threw together this match. It was Mustafa Ali. This is on the pre-show, by the way. Mustafa Ali versus John Morrison versus Ricochet versus Elias. Some pretty talented guys. I was looking at it and I thought, out of all of these four people, who would I least want to see in the match? Probably Elias. So I'm surprised they didn't go with him. But the match itself, it was an all right match. You know what I mean? The thing is, I don't get with these pre-show matches. There's only one match on these pre-shows, right? But they never give them time, do they? Like, I think this went 6 minutes, and it's like I sat through an hour of JBL and Booker T just bullying Pete Rosenberg, and it was like, could we have just had like a 15-minute match maybe here or something? It's not like, do you know what I mean? It's not like there's a crowd or anything to watch it, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, I was expecting, really, I thought maybe they might give this to Ricochet, maybe throw Ricochet a bone, maybe. Do you know what I mean? I think he's just re-signed on it, so Ricochet versus Matt Riddle versus Lashley. Ricochet and Riddle can work off Lashley. This would be good. But no, of course they went with the guy who's like, 40 years old in a stupid mid-card act at the moment. I mean, John Morrison, when he re-signed, I thought, yeah, this is actually going to be pretty good. It's going to be pretty good. Morrison done really well for Impact, done well, Lucha Underground and with the Indies. Well, was he really with many Indies? I suppose he was. But they shoved him back with The Miz. So did I really want to see him in this match? No, he's going nowhere. He's doing nothing, just like The Miz, who, by the way, is the WWE champion, in case you forgot. So yeah, John Morrison gets the win here, but no, it's typical WWE booking. They should have gone with Ali or Ricochet, but as I said, typical WWE booking, and we get John Morrison with the win. I went 2 3/4 on this. It was fine, weren't it? You never really get great pre-show matches from WWE. And on to the main show. The first thing had me rolling my eyes that I had on the main show, it was Michael Cole. Michael Cole, bless him, goes, this structure was invented by Triple H back in 2002. I thought, what? He was in it. But it was shown to the world by Eric Bischoff. So I thought, yeah, basically storyline-wise, it was Eric Bischoff, but you're trying to give it Triple H. Oh, all right then. But yeah, as expected, the opener to the show was I don't know what? These titles are rendered that meaningless at the moment. I actually forget which one's which. For the Universal title, it's Baron Corbin versus Jey Uso versus Kevin Owens versus Cesaro versus Daniel Bryan versus Sami Zayn. On paper, this is pretty talented Rumble, pretty talented chamber in it. I mean, you've got like Jey Uso's been really good this year. The last 6 months, Kevin Owens really good. Cesaro's great. Daniel Bryan's one of the best wrestlers in the world, but being wasted. Sami Zayn's really good. Corbin is fine. So yeah, it was always going to be a good match, and it was a good match. I'm not going to go into like all the he did this move, he did that move, but I tell you what. At 29 years old, off topic, it's a lot harder staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning watching these shows and getting up for work. When I was 16, 15, I used to do this. Go to school the next morning on 3 hours sleep. Sit through school, come back, go on wrestling forums like the cool kid that I am. Get excited for Raw, stay up till 4 to watch Raw, go back to school on Tuesday and just be like completely dead for school. But yeah, 13 years later, life's hit, and yeah, it is a lot harder to stay up for these shows. I mean, I'm probably going to stay up on that. The thing is, the AEW shows are so much harder to stay up for because they finish at 5. That extra hour makes all the fucking difference. But back to this match, as I say, it was a good chamber match. I wouldn't call it great, but it was a really good chamber match. I mean, Cesaro and Bryan start, and as soon I've got in my notes here, I'm expecting these two to be the last two, and they were. We get Corbin out, Sami's out. We get some nice little spots where Cesaro and Sami are fighting on top of the pods. Cesaro is actually doing pull-ups from the top of the chamber, bangs his head, bless him. But yeah, Cesaro was the star of this match. I mean, he eliminates Baron Corbin, which Cesaro to eliminate Baron Corbin 2 years ago wouldn't have happened. So at least it shows they are somewhat interested in pushing Cesaro. We get Kevin Owens out. Sami Zayn's like, oh, we're old friends. Let's team up. Let's work together. Obviously, that was never going to happen. Kevin Owens throws him into the pods. We get some good spots from Kevin Owens running wild on anyone, as he said on SmackDown. He's hitting stunners on everyone. He does a moonsault off the top. And in true WWE fashion, if someone's running wild in one of these multi-man matches and it's an elimination, they're probably going to be the next to get eliminated. But it wasn't actually the case because Sami Zayn, he hits a stunner to Sami Zayn, eliminates him. And I'm thinking, I wouldn't mind Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn at WrestleMania. Do you know what I mean? I feel like they've always flirted with that match, haven't they? Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, WrestleMania. We thought they were going to give it us at WrestleMania 32, but they sort of like shoved that build into the Money in the Bank ladder match. Was it Money in the Bank then? No, it was an Intercontinental title ladder match. But then one of the best spots of the match, so just after Sami's gone, this looks another WrestleMania match that's going to come up. Jey Uso traps Kevin Owens as the cage is open to let Sami Zayn out. Kevin Owens is like looking through it, and Jey Uso attacks him from behind, gets his arm into the cage, slams it shut brutally. He's kicking it with great offense, hits a splash, and that's Kevin Owens gone. So that sets up Kevin Owens versus Jey Uso. Hopefully for WrestleMania, maybe they'll spunk the load and do it at Fastlane. Maybe. I mean, I'm hoping not, but it might be what they do. But yeah, so Kevin Owens is out of here, and we're left with Jey Uso, Daniel Bryan, and Cesaro. And at this point, I'm thinking before the match, I would have gone with Cesaro as my prediction. I thought it would have made this whole match. All it needed to be was just get someone over. Yeah, Cesaro just turned babyface. Have him go over, look like a beast in the match. Have Roman come out. Have Roman go 6-7 minutes with him. Have Cesaro be competitive, but tell the story of he's just gone through 45 minutes. Cesaro comes out looking like a star, like Kofi did with Daniel Bryan. Everyone goes back to that chamber 2 years ago. Kofi came out of it looking like a fucking star, but he lost. He lost, but he was made that night. If they'd have done that with Cesaro this year, he would have been made. But no, they went with Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan is probably one of, I hate the term favorite wrestlers, but he probably, that's what he is. I love watching Daniel Bryan, right? But this wasn't the night for Daniel Bryan to win this match. The Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan. I mean, I was tweeting out about this, last night. The babyface Daniel Bryan versus the heel Roman Reigns has been a story that's been sat there since 2015, 6 years ago. It's been sat there. If it could be told in front of like a big arena of fans, it would be fucking brilliant. Maybe that can't happen. Yeah, it could have still. This is a WrestleMania match. Face Daniel Bryan versus heel Roman Reigns is one of the biggest matches that they've got left with their current roster. I mean, Daniel Bryan seems to be insistent on putting people over, but what Daniel Bryan doesn't seem to realize is they're screaming out for a top babyface that the fans love. And he is that top babyface. He's only 39 years old, Daniel Bryan, yeah. I don't know why this is all like, oh, they're phasing him out. I wish they'd phase out the fucking Miz, but, do you know what I mean? Maybe Bobby Lashley at 44 years old. How about we phase him out? But no, Daniel Bryan's too old for this, apparently. Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns is a WrestleMania main event. I don't want this Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley is not a WrestleMania main event worthy match. But, of course, which one of the matches takes place at Elimination Chamber? Bryan wins the Elimination Chamber after, I think, Uso eliminated Cesaro. Is that how I don't know. I don't even know. Is that how it went? Is that how it went? Yeah, we go down to Uso versus Bryan. Uso versus Bryan. Bryan gets the running knee for the pin, yeah. So Bryan wins the chamber. And then Roman comes out straight away. You could read it like a book that was going to happen. And I'm thinking, oh, the wasting. They've kept, since Daniel Bryan's been back since what, Mania 34, 3 years now, yeah? They've flirted with the idea. They've flirted with the idea of doing this Bryan-Roman feud, the Bryan-Roman match, but it's never happened. It's never been the right time, and I'm glad they haven't done it, right? Save it for WrestleMania. Maybe main event at SummerSlam with it. I'm thinking they're going to fucking waste this match. They're going to think how hot the Bryan-Roman thing. Roman is in the position where he is now because of Daniel Bryan. It took Roman Reigns 6 years to find his proper role on the roster and not just get rejected as a babyface. It took him 6 years because of Daniel Bryan. Their stories are interlined, yeah. The main event of WrestleMania is written there for you. Maybe not this year. Do it next year. But no, we had to have it here in the second match on Elimination Chamber. And it went a minute and a half. I mean, it was always going to be short. But Bryan basically, Roman comes in. It looks like Bryan might get him in the yes slot. But no, Roman just chokes him out like a bitch. I'm thinking, the problem you've got here is now Roman's fucked over Daniel Bryan, yeah? I want to see that match at WrestleMania this year. And then right after it, Edge comes out and hits the spear on Roman Reigns. And I'm thinking, you didn't need to get a match for me to want to see at WrestleMania. You didn't need to get me hopes up. You didn't need to get me to want to see this Bryan-Roman match at Mania. Save it, yeah? Save it. You just push Cesaro, and that's it, done. Yeah? And then we can move on to Edge versus Roman. But instead, I'm sat here thinking, like a lot of people, do I really want... Is Edge versus Roman the match that I want to see now? No, it's Bryan versus Roman. Bryan's just busted his ass, gone through the entire Elimination Chamber, yeah? And basically, Roman's come out and just beat him. He's beat him. I want to see a fully fit, a fully healed Daniel Bryan take on Roman Reigns. I don't want to see Edge versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. So the whole point of this, I'm guessing, is to make you want to see Edge versus Roman. That's the Mania main event on one of the nights. That should be the match they make us want to see. But no, they try and make us want to see Bryan versus Roman. I mean, what are they going to do? Have Bryan versus Roman at Fastlane, maybe? I tell you what, the really lucky, you know, if they'd have tried this bollocks in front of fans, I think fans might turn on Edge. I really do. For a start off, fans would have been fucking fuming that Cesaro didn't win this chamber match if there'd have been fans in this building. And then when Bryan wins, for Edge to come out, Bryan would have been over as anything winning the Elimination Chamber, yeah? Fans would have been hyped up for this. Bryan finally is a babyface. He's facing heel Roman. And it ends in a minute. And then Edge comes out for a spear. The crowd would have been lukewarm. I mean, I was tweeting out last night, this myth that Edge is like this savior babyface. No, he wasn't. He never was. Edge constantly was a failure as a babyface. I mean, I love Edge to bits. He was a great heel, and I can see why he's babyface now. I can see why he's babyface. He's, 47 years old, coming back from this career-threatening injury. He retired, yeah. Can see why he's babyface. But he's never really done it as a face. I mean, SummerSlam 2004. Toronto. Yeah, Toronto are a bit fucked. He's the hometown hero in the Intercontinental title match. These fuckers in Toronto bear him out the building And then he starts getting booed on Raw every week, and they have no choice but to turn him heel. No choice, right? So that's one occasion. Then, 2010, I just watched the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, right? Edge wins the Royal Rumble as a babyface. Royal Rumble 2010, Edge wins as a babyface, yeah? He then delays who he's going to choose as his opponent. Where have I had seen that before, right? And he faces Chris Jericho at WrestleMania. Heel Chris Jericho at WrestleMania. Chris Jericho is so hot as a heel at this point in time, yeah? He was fresh out of his 2009, 2008 run. Babyface Edge versus heel Chris Jericho at WrestleMania. That building did not give a shit. If you remember, it was the whole when Edge was like, spear, spear, spear. Never clicked on with the fans. And Edge returning in January as a babyface, had his run as a face was that bad. By the time the May pay-per-view came around, he was a heel. He was a heel working against Randy Orton. It's crazy. You'll refer from the point in history 12 years ago, and everything's the same. Over the Limit 2010, Edge versus Randy Orton. Have we not just been seeing that for the last year? Heel Edge versus face Randy Orton, 2010 over the Limit. So in 3 months, Edge has gone from returning as the babyface to being forced to turn heel because he didn't work as a babyface. That was twice. The very lucky they've got the Thunderdome with the way the booking, because the crowd would be shitting all over some of this. And I wouldn't be surprised if they shit on Drew against Lash. I don't think they'll shit on it. I think they'll just be lukewarm for it. So yeah, I was a bit annoyed, but hey. But if you've been watching this podcast from the start, that's been the theme of the day. Ryan's saying Bryan versus Cesaro versus Roman at Fastlane. Yeah, that's an option. I mean, it does keep the singles match open. I mean, I want to see Cesaro versus Roman singles match. I want to see Bryan versus Roman singles match. Maybe that can happen after WrestleMania, but this Fastlane is really becoming I don't know, it's just like, it wasn't needed, was it? Do you know what I mean? Now we could just have a solid 6 weeks of building up on TV. The Fastlane, we don't need Roman defending the title. We just concentrate. Let's try and save the damage they've done and get hype behind this Roman versus Edge feud. We've got another comment from Christopher. Christopher saying he thinks that the SmackDown Chamber was the best thing on. Yeah, it was. It was the best. It was definitely the best match. But I just had problems with the booking of it. It should have been Cesaro's moment. Cesaro's time to shine. So right, Cesaro has gone over Daniel Bryan, right? Cesaro's gone over Daniel Bryan 2 or 3 times, right, in the last few weeks on SmackDown. It's just 50-50 booking. If you're going to get behind Cesaro, yeah, to have him go over Bryan clean twice, have him push further in this chamber match, have him win the chamber. It does no good for no one. Bryan's lost. It's like the attitude WWE clearly would have had is, oh, well, Bryan's going to win the Elimination Chamber, so Cesaro can beat him twice. And nobody gets over from it. Nobody's holding people back the entire time. Just go full force with someone. Have Cesaro beat Bryan twice. Have him win the chamber. Go all the way with him. No pussyfooting around it. But yeah. I mean, I just get the feeling they're going to... I feel like, to be fair, they didn't waste Bryan Roman. I was saying I was worried they was going to waste it at the Elimination Chamber. They didn't fully waste it last night. But they're making people want to see it now. Want to see it at Fastlane. You want to see it at WrestleMania. We're not getting it at WrestleMania. Instead, we're getting Edge. What is going to happen at WrestleMania, right, is this. Like I said, it's like they forgot. They've got that used to the Thunderdome. They're forgetting what is going to happen at WrestleMania. And that is going to be, there's going to be 25,000 people in this building, yeah? And they're going to want people to be cheering Edge. The booking, the handling of Edge as a babyface the last few months has not been good, yeah? Edge track record as a babyface has not been good. They're going to throw Edge out there, and I feel a bit sorry for him. They're going to throw Edge out there, and this is going to be the first time fans have had the chance to see this cool heel Roman Reigns that we've been wanting for years, yeah? It's the first time he's going to be live in front of a crowd, yeah? He's going to get cheered at WrestleMania. There's no way the whole crowd at WrestleMania are going to boo Roman Reigns. They're going to cheer Roman Reigns over Edge, I'm going to bet. I'm going to bet. And Edge, bless him, is going to be out there. They're going to want Edge to get his big moment back at WrestleMania competing for the title. And I think I would not be surprised if you get big sections of that crowd at Raymond James Stadium booing Edge and cheering Roman Reigns. Certainly, if anything, the way they've handled this feud so far is anything to go by. I mean, they backed themselves into a corner. I just don't see Roman Reigns getting booed at Raymond James Stadium. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. He's going to get cheered at WrestleMania, and poor Edge is going to be the victim of it, which is why you probably would have been better going with Bryan or Cesaro, because at least they probably wouldn't get booed. But yeah, so that's basically that. Roman Reigns still champion as expected. I don't know where they go at Fastlane from this. I don't know, really. I don't think the best. Do we really need another title match? I mean, we know we're getting Roman versus Edge, yeah, as the fireworks pointing at the sign last night. Michael Cole decided to tell us about 20 times. I think the best bet to do is just Roman and Jay in a tag team match at Fastlane versus Edge and Christian, maybe. Is that a shout? Edge and Christian versus Roman Reigns and Jay Uso at Fastlane. I'd be fine with that. I think we need to fully concentrate on Roman Reigns versus Edge now. They need to put Cesaro, put Daniel Bryan to one side. They've messed that up. That's done. That's gone. Let's concentrate on trying to save this main event at WrestleMania. And Edge and Christian teaming up, do you know what I mean? That's going to gain interest. I think that would be the right way to go. So if you're asking me what I think will be the match that Roman Reigns is in at Fastlane, it's going to be Roman and Jay teaming up to take on Edge and Christian, and maybe Edge. Maybe you could have Edge and... See, I wouldn't have Edge and Cesaro or Edge and Bryan teaming up, because then it's going to be like, well, do I really want to see Edge in this match, in the main event at Mania against Roman? I'd probably sooner see Bryan, but luckily, like I say, they're so lucky they don't have fans in the building. They're so lucky. Yeah, so star rating wise, I went 3 3/4 on that match. It was a really good chamber match, and I would have gone higher if the booking wasn't fucking terrible. We got a backstage segment. I'm not going to run through the backstage segments. I've gone a lot longer than I wanted to here, but I've got Bunny slaps The Miz. God knows. But that's another thing. Bad Bunny versus The Miz? What's going on with that? They're building The Miz up for so many different things at the moment. Next, we get the United States Championship match. It's Bobby Lashley versus Matt Riddle versus John Morrison. It was a decent match. It was a decent match. Action-wise, it was good. We had Riddle and Morrison teaming up to... it's mad, isn't it? You've got 2 heels and 1 babyface in the match, but the 2 heels aren't going to work together, no. 1 babyface and 1 heel is going to work together on the heel. Typical WWE. But yeah, I think the match of this, it makes sense why, if they was really going to go with Lashley at Mania, then they needed to get the belt off him, which is why the whole triple threat match was happening, because Lashley could lose the belt without taking a pin. So that part did make sense. But what I don't want to see, which is I know I'm going to see, is, well, I already have seen it. Oh, see? All these people who've been criticising the booking of Matt Riddle since he's been on the main roster. What are you saying now? See, they didn't bury Matt Riddle. Really? Really? Riddle is the US champion, yeah, by attacking the heel from behind with a crutch. He didn't even pin the champion. And then when he wins the match, he doesn't even celebrate in the ring because he's too busy running away like a fucking coward from the heel. So yeah, Matt Riddle wins the United States Championship here and does not get over in the process. Does not at all. This is the only person they cared about in the booking of this match was Lashley. So I'm not saying it's bad booking in terms of if that's the only one you care about. It was good booking, but my argument is they should care about Matt Riddle because the guy could be a fucking superstar, but they don't care about Matt Riddle. He's been given the US Championship out of necessity here. I think probably if Keith Lee wouldn't have been, I don't know, I don't want to speculate what's up with Keith Lee, but if he'd have been in this match, it probably would have been Keith Lee that would have took the title, but they didn't want to put it on Morrison, so they had no choice but to put it on Matt Riddle. I'm going to have a sip of this Mountain Dew, because I need to take a breath. But yeah, the match itself was probably like a 3-star match. It was all right, wasn't it? It was all right. Ryan saying Miz versus Priest. I suppose they could go with that. But it's mad, isn't it? Like, we're 6 weeks away from WrestleMania. Does anyone really think that the WWE champion at the moment is going to be in the WWE Championship match at Mania? No. It's crazy. Do you know what I mean? When before WrestleMania, 6 weeks out, have we said, well, he's WWE champion, but he won't be the champion going into the show. That's how shit the Miz is. Right, where were we here? We've got a few comments. We'll be talking about Randy Orton later on, so I'll be talking about that comment we've got in the chat there. Next match was Sasha and Bianca versus Shayna and Nia. What did people think of this match? People in the chat, what did you think of this match? I mean, thought it was okay. It was okay, but I don't know. It was just a bit. I've seen a lot of people saying, well, at least Bianca didn't take the pin, but I'm not sure if Sasha really needed to take a pin this close. Do you know what I mean, to Mania? But I suppose for whatever reason they weren't putting the belts on. I mean, the finish was stupid. We get Reginald's out. He's trying to pass Sasha a champagne bottle to use on Nia. Ref takes it off her. Nia just beats Sasha. And it was just like, I don't want to be seeing Nia pinning Sasha at all. I just don't want to see it. Excuse me. I thought it was dumb booking. But I don't know. I would have much preferred to just gone with dissension. Give a bit of dissension between Sasha and Bianca. And instead, we didn't get that. I mean, I don't know where this Reginald thing's going. A lot of people seem to think that maybe they're going to add Carmella into the Sasha-Bianca match and make it a triple threat match. I'm not sure if they'll do that. I think it should be one-on-one. Maybe they'll do Sasha versus Carmella at Fastlane. I mean, we've seen that twice now on pay-per-view. There's no need for that. What I think they might do is they'll have babyface Sasha versus babyface Bianca at Mania. Maybe have Reginald pass Sasha the champagne bottle at WrestleMania, have Sasha retain the title via shenanigans at WrestleMania. I think that's where it could be going. I mean, it reminded me a little bit of the whole, do you remember Mania 20 where it was, I tweeted this out last night, where it was Chris Jericho and Trish and that whole love triangle thing. I know it's not quite like that, but it wouldn't surprise me if they do throw a swerve with Reginald and Sasha. I can see them being a little act together. They do seem to have good chemistry. Although I'm not sure if I'd be turning Sasha heel this soon, but maybe that is the way that they want to go. I mean, if they're making Bianca the top babyface, then I suppose you don't need Sasha as a babyface on there. RJ Yash is saying, will Sasha Banks turn heel before WrestleMania? Don't think it will be before, but it wouldn't surprise me if it happened at WrestleMania. What I don't like, though, is Sasha was a heel until SummerSlam, around SummerSlam time, just before SummerSlam. So I don't like the constant flip-flopping heel, babyface. We've seen it with Kevin Owens over the years, and I feel like it sort of takes the momentum out of it. As soon as Sasha stay babyface for a few years, she's a star, isn't she? I mean, I'm about to watch her as soon as I finish this on the Stone Cold podcast. Whereas I wouldn't rush out normally and watch that. But because it's Sasha, because Sasha's great, I am going to go out on my way to watch that. So as soon as Sasha should be one of the top, Sasha should be the top babyface on Raw, Bianca top babyface on SmackDown. But don't know. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they turn Sasha heel. Reggie versus Sasha at Fastlane. Yeah, I wouldn't quite be. They did it on SmackDown actually, didn't they, the other week, and it was all right. So maybe they'll go that way. Yeah, they could do that. But then the problem is that they're not willing to have the male get offense in on the female. So there was a lot of Cirque du Soleil in the last match. So, but it was fine, weren't it? It was fine. But we'll have to wait and see whether or not they do that. But as for this match, I thought the match, it was all right. There wasn't a bad match on the show. I mean, you can go back and watch old WWE pay-per-views. There was quite a few bad matches, but this was actually, there was no bad matches on the show. It was just fucking bad booking that ruined it for me. But the crazy thing about this was, so this match finishes, we're straight into the main event. I was like, oh, all right. I mean, it was like 1:30 UK time, running 90 minutes into the pay-per-view, and we're going straight to the main event. I mean, obviously on the show originally was Asuka versus Lacey Evans. Now, yes, I mean, last Monday on Raw, Lacey Evans announced she's pregnant. Yeah, it's a Ric Flair storyline why she's pregnant in real life. So it was like, who's gonna be the replacement at Elimination Chamber? A lot of rumors it was going to be Rhea, because where's Rhea? Where's Rhea Ripley, everyone? Where is she? She's nowhere to be seen, right? And yesterday it was like there was sources saying, there's not going to be a women's match on the show. But then I'm watching the pre-show, and is it Charlie that does the pre-show? She openly says, who is going to be the replacement for Lacey Evans tonight? Who's going to step up and face Asuka? And I was like, oh, so they are doing an Asuka match. And then to not have it before the chamber, I thought, maybe something big's happening here. We'd seen WrestleVotes tweet the eyes, and he obviously was tweeting about the Miz winning the title. But yeah, I'm just surprised they didn't do anything. It just shows a complete lack of care about where they're doing with the Raw women's title. I mean, yeah, the plan clearly was they were going to go with Charlotte versus Lacey at WrestleMania. Lacey would have won the title tonight. I'm pretty sure of that. But we know WWE book on the edge of the pants anyway. So would it have mattered? Could they have brought some? But I don't know. To not even address why they've cancelled the match, I thought was just a little bit strange. When they could have said, look, the Oscar match didn't take place. They could have had Oscar at a backstage interview or something. But no, it wasn't even mentioned. We were just sat there waiting for the match, seeing if it would happen. And what is going on here? What is going on here? No, wasn't even. Sorry, I opened up the YouTube window there. Hey, I'm only a month into doing these live podcasts. But yeah, they didn't even bother. They didn't even bother. Oh, what is going on with the audio here? Right, we're back. We're back. Don't worry about it. We are back. Right. So into the main event. I mean, I'm sure you're all sick of hearing me talk about the Miz thing. So I will actually talk about this match. I mean, we do get a backstage segment before where you see MVP talking to the Miz. And I was just like, MVP talking to the Miz. And then I was sat there and I thought, do you know what? I was watching the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view from 2010 this week. Who had a match against each other at the Elimination Chamber in 2010? It was MVP versus The Miz. MVP and The Miz had a match together 11 years ago on this pay-per-view. 11 years ago. And here they still are 11 years later playing a significant role on the show. I was just like, does nothing change here? What? It's just crazy. Just the similarities between the pay-per-view in 2010, the first ever Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, the similarities between that show and this show are staggering. They're staggering. In that opening Elimination Chamber match, we had Orton in it. We had Sheamus in it, and we had Kofi in it. The first Elimination Chamber on Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, those three were in that match 11 years ago. And here they are in the match again. In the match again. The segment backstage before the match, MVP versus The Miz, having a little chat together. Those two were in a match together on that pay-per-view. It's unbelievable 11 years later. And people are like, oh, but they're paying off a storyline. No, they're fucking not. It's just potluck. Just potluck. I mean, I seen people last night when The Miz had won, and he was like, oh, well, see, this is why what MVP was talking about 4 months ago on Raw. It was planned all along. No, it wasn't. But anyway, I guess I better talk about this fucking match. I mean, I'd sort of given up by this point. The bad booking, I knew more was probably going to come. The funniest part was when Orton comes out and he's taunting all the other people. You've got like Kofi's going, I love your quads. Oh, have you been doing, I can't forget the exercise. You've been doing squats, Randy? I was like, well, that was a bit weird. But you have AJ laughing at Randy Orton going, scary man. That AJ laugh I will always associate now with him sitting up out of the coffin in that classic last year at WrestleMania where he goes, oh, what a ride. I mean, see, I can be positive about WWE. The Boneyard match was fucking brilliant at last year's WrestleMania. But anyway, here we are back in 2021. I mean, the weird thing was that Orton gets eliminated first. I was surprised. I mean, I heard all these things on the day yesterday. Oh, maybe Bray will come. They've been building up this Fiend return for 3 months. Maybe the Fiend will set Orton's pod on fire. Maybe the lights will go out on the Fiend or Alexa will be in the pod. No. Orton just eliminated via roll-up from Kofi. That was it. I mean, maybe they just didn't want loads of angles in one match, but who knows? All that build over these last few weeks. I mean, we all thought the Fiend were going to return at the Royal Rumble and cost Orton. Nope. We all thought he'd return the next night on Raw. Nope. In that match against Edge. We all thought he was going to come back at the Chamber tonight. Nope. Let's just have him come back a week before the pay-per-view and we'll just go on with it from there. But yeah, after TLC pay-per-view, Randy Orton's booking should have been much better as he's expected to face the Fiend at WrestleMania. RJ, I know what you're saying. I mean, the Randy Orton Fiend match is probably going to be taking place at Mania, innit? I mean, it's pretty much set in stone by now. There's no other opponent for Randy that they're going to come up with. The Fiend, they're obviously going to have him on the card. Maybe they'll do it in a Firefly Funhouse match. I'm not sure if another stadium in Florida is ready for a Randy Orton Bray Wyatt match after that match I sat through live in the building at Camping World Stadium back in 2017. That was not a good match live. Best thing about that match, was Bray Wyatt's entrance. That was great live. Although I would like to see a Fiend entrance in one of these stadiums. That would be good to see. But yeah, whether we'll get it or not, who knows? I mean, the match itself, I don't really have much to say about the match. As I say, Orton gets eliminated. He RKO's Jeff and Kofi. We get that spot where Omos breaks the glass. And AJ runs around and enters himself into the match. And it's like, on Raw, wasn't the main event of Raw last week who was fighting to not have to enter the chamber until last? And you've got AJ. AJ competed in that match to try and be the last person into the chamber. And here he is voluntarily entering himself into the chamber. Just weird, wasn't it? Just weird. Pierce makes Omos leave. We got some... I mean, the Drew Sheamus stuff was good. Yeah. Although I don't think Drew versus Sheamus is a WrestleMania-worthy type of match, because it's been built up for so long, I wouldn't have been totally against them doing it. Do you know what I mean? There's a big story. They could have paid it off at Mania. Drew and Sheamus on paper is not a WrestleMania match. But if you get the feud right, they could have made it a WrestleMania-worthy match. They work well together. I like the bit how normally with WWE, if you've got the big baby face in the ring, Sheamus is Sheamus comes into the ring, yeah. And normally I thought Sheamus has turned on Drew. Typical WWE would be if someone's turned heel on someone to have them cower away. But no, Sheamus gets in the ring, doesn't act like a coward, and these two start throwing bombs at each other. And this was the best part of the match. The Drew Sheamus stuff was brilliant. And yeah, I can't believe they weren't the last two, but that did sort of make sense at the end. We get Hardy running wild. He's doing Whispering the Winds off the top, and I thought he's getting eliminated soon. I mean, before that, sorry, I did miss Sheamus eliminating Kofi Kingston, but yeah, Hardy's running wild. I thought, well, WWE, typical booking for one of these elimination matches means he's going, and that was right. Claymore and Hardy is gone. We get Sheamus hitting a brogue kick to Drew, yeah. So Sheamus could have had Drew beaten here. It did look like he had him beaten, but AJ hits his phenomenal forearm out of nowhere, and we never found out. So it does look like we're going to get this Drew Sheamus match. I'd say at Fastlane, but they've took the belt off him. What are they going to do? What are they going to do here? I'll finish the match before I talk about what I think they're going to do. So yeah, AJ beats Sheamus clean, and then Drew pins AJ with a mid-air Claymore kick. And then we get Bobby Lashley. I would have think the show would have been so much better if it had just gone off air. But it reminded me of one of those things with WWE where sometimes a shock value moment, even if it's a really shit shock, people love. Like I remember when Alexa cashed in the Money in the Bank. Was it against Ronda? It was against someone. And everyone was buzzing in the crowd like, oh my God. And I was thinking, yeah, but this means Alexa Bliss is going to be the champion to go in a feud with Ronda Rousey. I don't want to see that at SummerSlam. But people pop for surprises. But not me. But yeah. So basically, Lashley comes down, attacks Drew because he's fuming. He lost the US belt. MVP's clearly sent him. This allows the Miz to cash in. He hits his fucking, what's it called? His fucking finale, whatever it's fucking called. And Drew kicked out. But then he gets another one and wins the belt. The Miz is the WWE champion. It's laughable. It's laughable. We've got Kota Ibushi, IWGP heavyweight champion. We've got Kenny Omega, AEW world champion. And we've got the Miz, WWE champion. Ridiculous. But that's where we're going. The road to WrestleMania sees the Miz as the champion. And I've stated my anger. I've stated how ridiculous I think it is, the booking for both titles heading into Mania on this show. But let's talk about where we think they're going to go. I mean, what's Fastlane going to be? What is Fastlane going to be? I mean, is Drew Sheamus? Maybe Drew Sheamus should keep it. We're all assuming that Mania is going to finish with Drew being the champion. I think everyone unanimously would say that, yeah? So do you save Drew Sheamus till after WrestleMania? We've got a post-Mania feud set up then, but then what do you do with Sheamus for these months? Or do you go with Drew versus Sheamus at Fastlane non-title? Say the winner of that, the winner of Drew Sheamus gets the title match at Mania, and then have Bobby versus the Miz at Fastlane. Fucking hell, that sounds terrible, doesn't it? So maybe they'll do something on Raw tonight, but I think logical and WWE don't go together. But if you're trying to predict, which is always stupid unless you're Tebs, who actually predicted that this would happen last night. Well done, Tebs. Cheers for that. But yeah, I think what you're going to see, Fastlane, you know what I mean? You'll have MVP coming out, say, well, a deal was a deal. We'll get Bobby Lashley versus The Miz at Fastlane. Lashley will take the belt off The Miz at Fastlane. We'll have Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus in the number one contenders match. Drew McIntyre will beat Sheamus, and there we've got it. Drew versus Bobby. Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. I mean, for me, this is like going to be one of them where I think in a few years, if that match does happen, you know, like how people look back and say, as if Del Rio versus Jack Swagger was a world title match at WrestleMania. I look back and think, did that really happen? Did they really book Del Rio and Swagger as a world title match at Mania? Same with Edge and Del Rio. Is Edge and Del Rio really a world title match at Mania? And then it's going to be the same as this. We're in about 4 years, we're going to be like, do you remember in that pandemic when we needed a little glimmer of hope and they had Drew versus Lashley at Mania? I mean, a few people can be like, oh, I like Lashley, which is fair enough. You can like what you want, but it's my podcast, and I think Drew versus Lashley is a poor choice when you've had a year to build for this match. A poor choice of WrestleMania main events. But it is what it is. It is what it is. And that was your WWE Elimination Chamber 2021 pay-per-view. I mean, it wasn't boring, was it? I mean, I went into that pay-per-view expecting nothing to happen. It did. It wasn't necessarily what I thought should have happened, but hey, maybe you can say at least there's something to talk about. As a podcaster, they've given me something to talk about. I've had a lot of things to talk about on this show, so I suppose I should be grateful for that, but I'm not. Ryan saying Bobby versus Sheamus at WrestleMania could happen. Oh, mate, I don't want to see that. That is not WrestleMania worthy. It's two heels against each other. So I'm going to say, I'm going to be honest, I can't see that happening, Ryan. But it's WWE, so who knows? RJ saying, will there be a singles match between The Fiend and Randy Orton or a mixed tag match, The Fiend and Alexa versus Randy and Nikki? I don't know. I've not really seen much of Nikki Cross recently. I think they're going to go with The Fiend, Randy Orton, Firefly Funhouse or something along those lines. Maybe they'll do it in the flesh. Who knows? They're going to do some shit, aren't they? Something stupid. I'm guessing we're going to get one cinematic match at Mania. And I think The Fiend versus Orton is the one that makes the most sense. So, yeah, I think we're going to, unless anyone else has anything to say, I think we're going to wrap up the show. Just want to say thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks to everyone in the chat who contributed to the show. So I'd appreciate all if you could retweet the show on Twitter, like the show, whatever, subscribe, share the podcast, basically. And yeah, that's it. Remember, we're on Patreon. If you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/Daniel Ball Wrestling. I will be doing some stuff up with the Patreon. I've got some works for the Patreon, where we will be getting additional shows that are already being recorded at this moment in time. I will reveal that in a few months, though. But yeah, so the road to WrestleMania is fully underway. Fully underway. What are we going to get? Who knows? I will be back. I'm going to be back on Tuesday. I'll be back next Tuesday to talk all your news. The show is moving to Tuesday. So if you watch WWE versus AEW live consistently weekly, we are moving from Thursdays to Tuesdays. So I might do a quick review of Dynamite this week. Just to keep everyone like in line and in tune. But Tuesday going forward is going to be the day, probably around this time, that we're going to be doing the podcast. So yeah, we'll see. Christopher, yeah, thanks for listening. I say every listen is much appreciated. Although I've ranted a lot tonight on the show. That is, I don't know, I do appreciate everyone listening. So yeah, that's it. We're going to wrap up. We've got one more question. Go on, I'll spare you a couple of minutes. Let me have a look. I'm dying for this drink. Let me have a bit of drink and we'll talk about it. Will we see Brock Lesnar having a match for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania? I hope so. I really do hope so. I hope that they've maybe not had him appear because he only wants to appear on the show just before Mania. Hopefully, I wouldn't be totally against if we have to see it. Lashley versus Lesnar versus Drew. Maybe that'd work. I'm not a big fan of triple threat matches at Mania, but it's something and it's better than Drew versus Lashley. But yeah, I'm off. Thanks everyone for joining us. As I say, check out. We will be back. Maybe doing a Dynamite review on Thursday, but 100% next Tuesday and every Tuesday going forward. So yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. Have a great Monday. I need to catch up on some sleep. Have a great Monday. And yeah, I'm going to leave you with The Miz as WWE champion. See you later, everyone.